Who can escape this wave of virus? Chinese people plead for help. White paper scares Shanghai police. Apple's new store opening met with woman's tirade. China's rise sowed the seeds for its fall. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Who can escape this wave of virus? Chinese people plead for help. On March 21st, a video about the epidemic posted on TikTok in China drew significant attention and sparked widespread discussion. Comments repeatedly brought up a new virus. The video begins with a rhetorical question: who can escape this wave of the virus, and dubs the current outbreak as the 2024 Virus King. This video has garnered more than 35,000 comments. Users from various regions including Shandong, Anhui, Jiangsu, Guangxi, and Guangdong shared their distress over the potency of the new virus with remarks such as, "Turns out this is the new virus. I've been dragging myself between 3 hospitals for half a month. Help me. I can barely sleep. It feels like I'm about to cough up a lung, and I was sleeping, then suddenly woke up in the middle of the night with a fever, feeling as though I've been crushed by a car, sore all over, and after 2 days, I'm still not better. What sickness is this?" On Weibo, an increasing number of people have been mentioning, the virus has begun to wreak havoc again recently. A few people in our department caught COVID-19 and H1N1. Our office is overwhelmed with viruses. The new virus in Guangzhou is excruciating, and more. Since last September, a multitude of viruses including Mycoplasma pneumoniae, influenza, and COVID-19 have surged in China. However, reports on this started to disappear before the Chinese New Year. Nonetheless, according to a March 22 report by NTD, the epidemic has continuously been rampant. It's merely that the voices of the public have been muffled, preventing the spread of news. Wang Xin, employed in the funeral supply business in Daqing City, Heilongjiang Province, spoke to NTD using a pseudonym. He reported a high number of recent local deaths, involving both young and old, noting that the business has flourished over the past few years since the outbreak, especially the sale of paper money. He noted that the number of new graves on the nearby mountains has doubled over the past few years, all belonging to locals. Meanwhile, according to the latest news, Chinese Communist Party authorities continue to hide the truth, continually changing the virus name, now referring to it as the X virus. Mr. Chen from Shenzhen commented, "They've now labeled it as X disease, a name everyone finds ridiculous." The spokesperson's explanation is illogical, implying that X disease isn't limited to one type, which is quite contradictory. "It's come to my attention that hospitals are now erasing all related information, with internal management tightly controlled to prevent any information leaks to patients." White paper scares Shanghai police. Apple's new store opening met with woman's tirade. As previously reported, on the 20th, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, announced on Weibo that he had arrived in Shanghai unexpectedly and strolled along the Bund with actor Zheng Kai. The following day, in the evening of the 21st, he was present at the launch of a new Apple store in Shanghai, receiving a warm welcome from numerous Apple enthusiasts. However, the event was marred by an individual who vehemently criticized the waiting crowd. According to online footage, in front of Apple's new flagship store in the Jing'an district, a woman was vocally criticizing those in line, accusing them of overly favoring foreign brands over local ones like Huawei and arguing that as Chinese citizens, they should prioritize supporting their country over foreign products. Countering the woman's claims, some Apple supporters argued that their choice of brand is purely a matter of personal preference and need, unrelated to any alleged foreign adoration. They pointed out that if Apple's presence were detrimental to China, the company wouldn't be allowed to open a store in Shanghai or participate in meetings in Beijing. They also highlighted Apple's role in generating employment in China, thus aiding the nation's economic growth. Nonetheless, the woman passionately argued, "We don't need it. We have our own Huawei. You're all traitors, consuming the sacrifices of our ancestors, indulging in treacherous acts." Speculations arose regarding the woman's motives for disrupting the event, with comments suggesting possible ulterior motives, crude patriotism or sophisticated slander. It's unclear who's behind it. Moreover, the shared video also depicted individuals brandishing iPads with white screens in protest, leading to a tense response from the police who swiftly moved to disperse the bystanders. Internet users raised concerns, questioning, has white now become a sensitive color? Would we not see this situation if the white screens were swapped for red ones? They also remarked, white paper has turned into an emblem of defiance against oppressive rule. A simple A4 paper, easily accessible, has brought together thousands seeking freedom and has become a vessel for myriad silent expressions. It's a declaration to the world of our ongoing resistance. In the end, Cook did not deliver a speech at the opening of the Jing'an store. According to the Wall Street Journal, Cook's next agenda is to head to Beijing to participate in the China Development Forum, which includes high-level American business executives and Chinese officials. At the forum, Xi Jinping, China's leader, will meet with CEOs of American firms attending the forum in Beijing, such as Apple's Cook and Blackstone's Stephen Schwarzman, among others. China's rise sowed the seeds for its fall. China's tight grip on the factors of production is increasing the risk of China's investment while also sowing the seeds for its economic decline. This is the argument in the article Communist China's Rise Sowed the Seeds for Its Fall, published March 22, written by Matt Cole and Jeff Sherman. The two experts are CEO and managers from Strive Asset Management, an Ohio-based firm with over $1 billion in assets under management. The authors said that China's meteoric rise to a global economic powerhouse appeared unstoppable until it stopped. Now, with deflation looming and an economy in shambles, other asset managers are scrambling for an explanation of these newly discovered China risks. Prevailing market theories attribute the recent decline to an over-leveraged, too-big-to-fail real estate sector and a Chinese Communist Party-based cultural stranglehold that prevented China from transitioning to a consumer-based economy. All that may be true enough. But it misses the bigger picture. The same macroeconomic factors that led to China's rise are now the cause of its fall. U.S. investors should consider portfolios that appropriately mitigate the risk of Chinese investments. According to the Cobb-Douglas production function, economic output comes from three inputs: labor, capital, and what economists call total factor productivity, TFP. TFP can be thought of as how efficiently labor and capital can be utilized, usually through technological innovation. TFP is what sets countries apart. While labor and capital are relatively commoditized, TFP is often considered the primary contributor to GDP growth. It's what allows countries like the United States, which has never been more than a tenth of the world's population, to consistently contribute upward of 1/3 of global GDP. This model explains China's ascent to become the world's second largest economy over the last 70 years. For centuries, China had the world's largest population, allowing it to enjoy an abundance of labor. And its one-child policy temporarily bolstered its labor force. Women, previously confined to a decade or more of childrearing, were now free to work. Female participation in the labor force surged, increasing production and household income. China's rising prosperity, in turn, fueled investment. Western societies and their often state-backed pension systems began to supply billions of dollars in investor capital. Since the Cultural Revolution, China has been unable to develop technological advancements on its own but has supercharged its raw production potential by imitation or, in many cases, outright intellectual property theft. Most of China's largest businesses, such as Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, and Luke King Coffee, are knockoffs of innovations developed elsewhere. These Chinese businesses only exist because of Western capital, China's protectionism, and internet censorship, which shields these imitators from their more nimble international competitors. However, the same central planning policies that led to China's success now spell doom. Beijing's one-child policy, though officially abolished in 2016, set in motion generational and cultural shifts, with millions fewer women of childbearing age every year, and the fertility rate is less than half of the replacement rate. In 2023, China's population dropped below that of India, meaning it is no longer the world's most populous country, a title that it is unlikely to regain. The declining labor force threatens China's position not only as a global producer but also as a global consumer. Multinational companies will no longer be lusting over China's consumer base, willing to set common sense and business judgment aside for a chance to open shop. Capital is fleeing, too. China's State Administration of Foreign Exchange reported last month that foreign direct investment into China collapsed by 82% to a 30-year low. This sudden change highlights how foreign companies are pulling money out of the country. If a Chinese government agency is reporting poor numbers, you can bet the actual numbers are likely much worse. Multinational companies are not alone. Investors from all over the world have been switching their emerging markets exposure to emerging market ex-China funds as a way to manage China risks separately or eliminate it altogether. In 2023, emerging market ex-China funds took in $5.6 billion as China had one of the worst performing equity markets, with losses for the year exceeding 10%. Then there's TFP. China's aggressive intellectual property theft has become so bold that Western governments and companies have begun to take note. The Biden administration is restricting our most advanced AI hardware exports to China. A diminished Chinese economy also means less leverage to demand U.S. companies form joint ventures or hand over technical information as a condition for doing business there. A mass exodus of Western companies means less technology to steal. China cannot replace the stolen innovation on its own. By design, the country lacks the individual liberty, economic freedom, and profit incentive required to create the innovation that has driven most of the economic growth in the modern world. The result is a self-perpetuating downward spiral. The more foreign capital flees, the more countries and companies are emboldened to safeguard themselves from Chinese theft, and the more Beijing tries to tighten its grip on whatever it believes is within its control, further scaring off foreign investment. In the Chinese view, the only remedy to a failure of central planning is more central planning. But you cannot innovate through force, and, as China is learning the hard way, you cannot dictate children into existence or regulate your way to prosperity. China's rise to become the second largest economy over the last roughly half-century is an impressive accomplishment and a testament to the power of even the smallest improvements in economic freedom. However, China's tight grip on the factors of production is increasing the risk of China's investment while also sowing the seeds for its economic decline, the authors concluded. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.